All right, guys. It is pretty early in the morning, and I just wanted to share with you my process for how I um, pretty much make my animation in After Effects. So let's go over that right now. All right. So if I open up my After Effects file of a project that I just did, wasn't anything too crazy, but it did still obviously take me some time because um I had to kind of like redesign my character and give her like a full body, and I updated her design just a little bit. So I'm going to show you guys how I pretty much do this. And basically all of her body parts here, like her shoulders, this piece, this piece, this piece, this piece, all of these pieces are separate PNG files that I made using Clip Studio Paint, including her face, including her hair. In After Effects, if you have a bunch, so if I double click on pre-comp one, you can see that we have 59 pictures in total that compromise our character, that create our character, not compromise our character. So that's pretty much how that works. And then what you do when you have uploaded all of these pictures into After Effects to make a pre-comp, you would select them all, and then you would go to layer, and then you would go to pre-compose or Control Shift C. Yeah, and to get out of it, you just hit comp one, and then you can control your pre-comp all as one thing. Like you can drag her around and move her however you want to. Um, and then for the lights on the buildings, it was pretty much the same thing. I basically just drew these as separate layers in Clip Studio Paint over my background, and then I uploaded them into After Effects separately. Something to note about After Effects is that whatever is on the top is going to go over like that layer. So obviously I have my character all the way on top and I have the background in the background. The sound is just kind of like whatever, but there are effects in After Effects. You can hit audio, you can hit reverb. I'm no expert at sound, so I usually just use reverb, but you can play with all of these like modulator and things like that and see what effects that you get out of it. So let's go into Clip Studio Paint really quick. Or let me sh before we do that, let me show you the animation folder um that I have. So I have everything separated into different folders, like her center, her chest. As you can see, that's just her chest, her ear, and et cetera, et cetera. So if we open up Clip Studio Paint, right, and we go to Paint, you could do this in Photoshop also. It doesn't really make a difference. Um, but basically, it's really as easy as like, let's say that I was to hit the animation button, right? And now we have a new animation. If you in Photoshop, it's basically the same concept, but in Clip Studio Paint, you would hit the eyeball next to paper and it turns it transparent. So anytime that you're uploading a picture, so let's say that we draw a circle here, right? And then we fill it in with, I don't know, like pink. And then you would uncheck the paper button and then you go to File, Save As, and then you would type in like circle, for example, right? And then after you do that, you would go into After Effects. You would right click here, go to Import File, and then you'd find the circle that we made. I didn't, hold on, I did not save that as a PNG. That's my fault. Go to Save As, make sure you hit PNG, and then save it. Hit yes. So now you'll see circle come up, right? And let's say that I take circle and I drag it down here on top of everything. Now we have a circle. Another cool thing you could do in After Effects is that you can turn this circle into kind of like an effect. So let's say that we wanted our character to have like an aura. You can kind of have it like encompassing her body, right? Click this drop down next to circle, click transform. As you can see, opacity has a clock next to it. This is how you animate anything in After Effects, but if you click on this clock, it starts to create keyframes, right? So right now my opacity is at 100. If I move it to, I don't know, like 3 seconds over here, I can bring the opacity down to like 28%, you know? So you can even, if I was to actually give her an aura, I'd probably start it at like 33%. We can put a keyframe on our position also. And then when it goes over here, you obviously just take the circle and you just move it over here. And After Effects will automatically create a keyframe for you. So that's how pretty much simple that it is. And obviously I'm going to keep on keyframing and I'll show you some more effects that we can do with this circle that we made. So let's say that you wanted to give it some glow. You could go to stylize, you can hit glow, and then obviously you can increase the glow radius, you can increase the glow intensity. Uh, you can probably even up the opacity just a little bit. I don't want my glow radius that high because I really don't need it that high. But yeah, you can give it glow. You can animate the glow as well if you want to. In the same type of way, there's clocks next to all these things. And then strobe light. So let's say you wanted to give it an effect for strobing, right? Um, yeah, like so from what strobe light works like from what I remember is as you can see, it pretty much just kind of like has the light come on and off, on and off, on and off. And you could change that to whatever color you want. Let's say you wanted to make it something more noticeable like yellow. Now if you hit the play button, I'm Caitlin. You see how it's basically doing that, right? And yeah, that's basically how you would do that. Now, you can add more effects with this circle. So let's say that I delete strobe and I delete glow, and let's say that I bring the opacity. Let's say for the sake of this example, let's say that we delete all the opacity keyframes and we bring it up to like something much higher, like 80 something percent. You can go to simulation and you can type in like CC starburst and it'll basically generate this effect right here. I'm Caitlin. So those are just the basics, guys, of how After Effects works and how you can animate your character. In animating her arms and her legs and her face and her eyes, that's all done using the same like concept basically. So if we go into our pre-composition, right, you can see over here, I have lower, let me try to deselect everything. There we go. I have lower iris A, lower iris B over here. And like whenever I want to use them, I just shorten the duration of how long that I want it to run. And then I have a blink over here that lasts about this long. And then I have her eyes going open again down here on iris A, iris B, and eyes A, which is just different eye positions. And I could have organized this probably better than I did, but it's organized well enough to where the layers are on top of what they're supposed to be on. And that's all that really matters, I guess. But if you organize them better, it's obviously better when you start animating it. And that's basically how you do it, guys. So the first step would obviously be to create your character and then draw it and then redraw everything on separate layers, like her foot, her legs, her arms. Obviously, the more complex that your drawing is, the more layers that there's going to be. So just keep that in mind. That's why my character here is not like too complex for that reason. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video and I hope that you learned something. If you have any questions, you can always ask me in the comments section. So thank you for watching, guys. Just figure out how to end this recording. There we go.